OpieRadio.
All right, Mikey, we are at the Westwood One Studios. Going to do a podcast with Jared Flash Gordon. And I'm faking energy because we're recording this podcast the day after we all went to see Blackberry Smoke at Irving Plaza. And I got to tell you, Mikey, I'm hurting a little bit today.
I'm hurting too, Op. We're hurting. I had to get up at 7:30 in the morning. At 6:30 in the morning, I'm hurting.
Really? Yeah, because you don't really drink that much either, right?
No, I'm trying to be a healthy guy. We went out last night for one beer.
What?
That turned into beers and margaritas.
Yeah.
Some burgers.
Yeah.
And then Blackberry Smoke.
Yeah, it was an amazing day. The podcast with Blackberry Smoke's doing very well, and we got to check out the show after the fact, and they killed. But between the podcast and them playing at Irving Plaza, we all decided we needed something to eat. You told me that Pete's Tavern was right around the corner, and Pete's Tavern is where Ron the waiter is, who's a very, very funny waiter. He's a guy trying to make it in show business, and it's not going well for him, so he is a waiter at Pete's Tavern, and me and Carl, the Mad Cuban, we did a pop-up from Pete's Tavern. That was sort of what I was doing before the podcast. I was experimenting with this concept of doing a podcast out and about all over the place, and we used to just do it live on Facebook and YouTube and all that horse shit. And one of the places was Pete's Tavern, where we met Ron the waiter. It's on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out. It was really, really funny.
Now we'll give you a little taste right here.
I tell you, I make a mean Bill Cosby. The guy right there with the mustache next to the girl with the red...
That's not Louis C.K.
That's Louis C.K. That's Louis C.K., right?
Well, we'll know if he whips out his dick.
Opie?
Yeah. And I'm Carl.
Carl? I'm Ron. So listen, I mean, I know your career, so you probably have a few bucks put away. You need like a houseboy or something? Yeah. You know what I mean? I wear maybe some nice like Daisy Dukes. You know what I mean? I look like sausage wrapped in rope. You're a food guy, you get that.
Yeah, I get it. It's just got weird.
But we went there, and Ron wasn't working, so now we're like, fuck, man. So we grabbed the booth, and then I'm looking at the menu. We're all looking at the menu, and we're like, you know what? The food doesn't seem that great here.
Well, then we said if we want burgers, let's go to Joe Jr.'s 2 blocks away for the best burger in Manhattan.
I said that. The Cuban turned me on to, what is it called?
Joe Jr.'s.
Joe Jr.'s, and he basically said this is the best hamburger in all of Manhattan. And it's just a down and dirty diner with a lot of old people. For a place that has pretty much the best burger in New York City, people don't seem to know about it for whatever reason. So we sat at Pete's Tavern, and we started drinking, and stupid me, I'm like, I'll have some margaritas because fucking Ron White. Love Ron White, Vic Henley's friend, and now my friend. He's pretty much a raging alcoholic.
Let me tell you something, folks. You can't fix stupid.
I think he would admit that. And he's got his own tequila and all that, and he told me he switched to tequila because the hangovers are much different.
Well,
they're not as bad. I'm here to say that it's still a fucking brutal hangover. It's just a little different. You don't get much of the headache, but you get this, I'm sluggish, I'm tired, my voice is shot, but you don't get like that depression after you drink a lot the next day.
Yeah, then you get
That's what Ron White said. He goes, you don't feel as depressed the next day after drinking tequila all night.
Well,
so.
you don't feel as fat because you feel bloated. I drank beer all night. I felt bloated the whole morning.
Oh, did you, Mikey?
I did. The pizza ale hurt me.
Are you one of those guys that notices when you get bloated?
Yeah, I do. I do. I woke up, I took a shower, I look in the mirror, I'm like, I'm bloated, man. I don't like it.
Yeah, were your eyes a little swollen and your fingers and your joints?
Yeah, and
were you retaining some water?
I was.
Right. Jesus. I had like 4 margaritas, and then you guys, because I learned on the last podcast that you simply don't like music.
Yeah, and I'm not one of those guys who are anti-music. I just never listen to it ever.
Right.
I'll listen to sports talk.
Yeah.
And just podcasts all day. No, I haven't listened to music. Listen, if it's on in the car, whatever. I don't drive.
Yeah.
But if it's on in the background, but I don't even have like Pandora or Spotify, nothing on my phone.
You're a sick person. You understand that, right?
No, I have a lot of issues. I'm fully aware of that.
I mean, if you don't like music, you're a sick person.
Yeah, I know that.
Because that's like the soundtrack to life.
Yeah, people are like, oh, when you want to get pumped up for a game, even when I'm on the treadmill,
Yeah.
I listen to a podcast. Like I don't listen. There's no music that gets me hyped up, and I'm a big sports guy.
You don't do those sports jam songs?
No,
No, you're not even into that stuff?
sports jams?
How about a good organ?
No, nothing, man.
Nothing?
Nothing.
And you discovered this at what age, that you hated music? You didn't like music?
When I was younger, it was just always listening to sports on the radio,
Right.
sports talk,
Right.
and then regular talk radio.
Yeah.
And I just never got into it. It never, fed my soul and, listen to the lyrics of this. I just never got any of that.
So you simply don't care when you hear music?
Don't care. There's times I'll go months without even listening to a song. I don't even realize it.
That is, oh my God, you are sick.
It's bizarre. Like, who are your favorite bands? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I know Billy Joel and The Doors I like, but Nirvana, Foo
Right.
Fighters, but I don't
Right.
know anything current,
Right.
ever.
Right.
Nothing.
But you sort of like those bands?
Yo, I do. Like, I know most Billy Joel songs.
Right. What's your favorite Billy Joel song?
Forever Young. It's me and my mom's song.
Oh my God.
But that's what I mean.
What's up, brother? Come on in, man.
My buddy Ryan.
Yeah, right on.
Jared, what's up,
Jared,
bro?
what's up, man? Hey, buddy.
How are you?
Welcome. Sit down, please. We're hurting today because we were hanging out with Blackberry Smoke. So
She was saying that you guys were analysts.
yeah, is his mic on there?
All right.
Jared Flash Gordon is a tough dude, man. He's a tough dude. Yeah, no, we're hurting, so I'm making believe like I'm wide awake and have a lot of energy. I'm not a big partier, but last night we podcasted with Blackberry Smoke,
Okay.
and then we went out for drinks, and then we went back and checked out the band. Do you know Blackberry Smoke at all? No.
at all.
You gotta eat that mic. I asked Westwood One for new mics, and they said no, these are good enough. And right off the bat, we're learning once again they're not good enough. So
All right.
yeah, what kind of music you like, if you don't mind me asking?
Rock and hip hop.
Like what kind of rock?
Tool's my favorite
Tool?
band. Yeah.
We're gonna get along, man.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah. Maynard's the man, dude.
absolutely.
Yeah. Perfect Circle, obviously.
Right,
I
Perfect-
don't really like Pussifer that much.
Well, I like.
other band,
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. But they have that one song that
Pussifer. Chevelle.
How does it go?
I don't know.
Oh my God, this is gonna drive me nuts.
I never really listened to them. I don't know why. It just like,
Right.
didn't
No, well, it's
work
very
for me.
it's very different than Tool and Perfect Circle. That's why, probably.
Yeah.
Have you seen Tool in concert?
I did when I was like 13 with my father and my brother in Madison Square Garden. It was like,
Insane.
yeah, but like he's crazy.
Yeah.
So like everyone, the whole band was up front, and he's
Yeah.
behind everyone.
Yeah.
On the platform in like this one piece suit,
Yeah.
and he didn't move.
Right.
So I'm like, what the hell? Like I thought he was gonna be, but
Well, that's
it
why
was good enough.
That's why I brought it up, because I saw Tool once and the same thing.
Same thing.
He's way in the back
Yeah.
by himself, no spotlight on him. I think he was in the back to the right, and the rest of the band was front and center. And
I think he does that on purpose, so he doesn't want to be like act like he's the center of attention. I guess.
no, he knows he's the center of attention.
Well, he knows he is, but maybe he doesn't want to be like.
I think he's one of those guys that likes fucking with people and fucking with his own audience. Don't you think?
He's really talented.
He's incredibly talented. You know the Bill Hicks connection with Tool, where they were huge fans of Bill Hicks, and they Arizona Bay. You know the song Arizona Bay? That's a Bill Hicks routine that Tool sang.
Oh wow.
They loved Bill Hicks. You know who Bill Hicks is?
No. I don't know Bill Hicks at all.
One of the greatest comedians of all time. Robert, you
Okay.
know the Tool Bill Hicks connection, don't you?
I do not.
Oh,
I
fuck
just know
it.
who Bill Hicks is, but I don't know the connection.
All right, okay. Well, they loved Bill Hicks, and they took one of his bits and turned it into a song. Yeah, look it up there, Mikey, so you could give more of the details. So it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, Mikey said you got to talk to Jared. You have to. He has one hell of a story to tell. And do you want to walk through this again? Are you sick of walking through this? And why is he laughing?
Because he knows he's almost got the same life story as me. So
Are you guys?
he knows what it's like to tell the story over and over. I guess.
I understand, but it's such a great story. I mean, it's a great story because you survived all of it,
Yeah.
and you're trying to make something of yourself. And who is he, by the way?
This
to
is
you?
like one of my best friends, Ryan.
And did you guys grow up together?
We've only known each other for like 2 years now, but we're like besties now. You know.
Right. Where did you guys meet?
We met through someone in sobriety,
Oh, okay.
and he lived like 3 blocks from me,
Right.
and that was it, man.
Yeah.
Now we're like boyfriend and girlfriend almost.
I'm not even going to ask.
It doesn't go that far, but we became really good friends, and I don't know. You know how like you meet someone and there's just like
Okay, instant
we've been
connection?
Yeah, we've been through a lot of the same things, and
Yeah.
Ryan's been through hell and back.
Right.
His story is like, it may top mine actually. It's pretty ridiculous. I mean, we have different stories, but it's like the depths of hell that he has visited.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were walking around in hell together for sure at certain times.
And you guys are both sober now, or
Yes.
for how long? If you don't mind me
I'll
asking.
be sober for 3 years on the 27th of December.
So me talking about getting fucked up on margaritas last night.
I don't
is-
give a fuck, dude.
You're not one of those
Am I allowed
guys.
to curse? I can curse on here.
Please curse. You could
Yeah,
punch,
yeah.
You can punch holes in the walls. I don't care what. I don't care.
No, dude.
Yeah, because I'm not a big fan of the partying, to be honest with you. But every once in a while, I'll dip in.
Well,
and then you wake up the next day and go, "What? This is ridiculous." And
Why?
I got 2 small kids, and now my wife's got to work twice as hard today as I'm just slumbering around the house like a loser. I just don't like it.
I get it. I mean, you deserve it though. You work hard, and every once in a while, you enjoy yourself, right?
Well, I'd rather enjoy myself in other ways than getting shit faced. To be honest with you, I'm a big. You're from Long Island originally, right?
Originally,
Yeah, so I do a lot of surf casting, a lot of fishing, and
All
that's my love. I love getting away and just doing that. That I would much rather do that than sit with these idiots over there and drink my face off.
Well, you don't have to drink anymore if you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. So where do we begin, man? I mean, I got
That's a good question.
Well, I got a whole sheet. We could go line
I mean,
by
if you want
line.
to hit some points, and we can go.
Well, you grew up in Roslyn Heights, Long Island. It's Jared Flesh Gordon, of course, and you were 12 in 2001. I'm just going to read this one. And your father's store in Astoria blew up, and 3 firefighters died.
Yes.
And it was called the Father's Day Fire.
Yeah.
And why did your family lose millions on that one?
Well.
And what happened? Could you walk me through that?
Yeah. So it was Father's Day, 2001.
Right.
And so there was these 2 kids and their father. They lived in an illegal apartment that backed the store of my father's company.
Right.
And the kids were doing something called fire graffiti back there on the back of the building. And you put like gasoline on the wall, then you spray paint over it, and you light it on fire, and the spray paint actually burns into the brick.
Okay.
So you can't remove it with like turpentine. You have to actually remove the brick, whatever. So they kicked over the gas can, and it rolled down a ramp of the loading dock.
Right.
And it rolled under this huge metal door that leads into the back of the loading dock, and it was a really old building. It's been there. It was there from like somewhere in the late 1800s, like really late, and the gas traveled, and there was a boiler, and there was a water pilot.
Yeah.
And whoever installed the boiler, which was installed like in the 50s, didn't do it by code. It was supposed to be installed on a platform between 24 and 36 inches off the floor.
Right.
Whoever installed it 4 inches off the floor. So the water pilot was like touching the floor basically. So when the gasoline rolled towards the water pilot, the fumes came up, and poof, it started a fire. Wow. So now it was a small fire, but there was thousands of aerosol cans and liquids and everything flammable that you can imagine in that
in that area.
basement.
Right.
So what happened was the FDNY came, and they came through the back first where the fire was. And so now that back door is open, and they're in there and they're trying to put out the fire. The fire is getting bigger, and there's tons of pressure being created in the basement. And the firemen actually heard tops of the cans like popping, like pop, 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 and all the gas was leaking out of the cans. Like they could actually see the cans,
right,
the caps, and all the flammable gas is flowing into the room. So now the firemen are on the street level, and they're breaking through the front door. everything's closed. It was Father's Day. So there's like metal gates, and it's a building in Long Island City. So they break through, they get in, and they run on the first floor, and they go to open the basement door, and they created a backdraft.
Holy shit!
Which I don't know how,
right.
I don't know how they didn't see that coming. They know that they're in a basement with the back door open. So when they open that top level, it created like a wind tunnel.
Sure.
And that gust, that air just, and the whole front of the store just exploded. So like 60-something guys got injured. 3 of the men got caught under the rubble. Like 12 or 13 guys got like seriously injured. And 3 guys, they got caught under there, and they died. And I remember, we were there watching, and Giuliani was there, and Peter Vallone. I don't know if you know Peter Vallone.
Sure, I know that.
Peter Vallone was there,
right.
And I remember, man, it was like the whole neighborhood was out watching. This is Father's Day, so everyone's home. Like the place imploded,
Wow.
It shook the city blocks. Like you could hear it from miles away.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible day, man. And my father, that was my uncle and my father's business.
What kind of business was it?
It was a wholesale hardware company.
Oh, okay.
So, and like over the course of the couple days, like we're trying to like get everything, like, collect invoices, and there was a safe in there, and, there was still like a lot of stuff that wasn't like, that didn't burn. It was still usable. And, so we're like trying to collect it all. And I remember like the NYPD and the firemen were looking at us like it was our fault. They were stealing shit right in front of us, like gloves or axes, like anything that they could use. And they were just loading it onto the fire trucks and to the back of their cop cars. And they were just smirking at us like it was our fault. Wow. So, it was fucked up, man. It was fucked up. And I remember my dad, dude, like him and his brother. So my grandfather owned the business.
Right.
He bought the store from... It was a mom and pop hardware store. He bought it from another, my father's, I don't know, another Jewish guy. My father's a Jew. So they bought it, he bought it, and then my father and his brother took it over, and they turned it into a multi-million-dollar, wholesale company. They deliver to all the boroughs. Yeah. And they have a retail store. They had a retail store. So they lost it all, man.
They didn't have insurance?
They had insurance.
And they still lost it all?
So, I mean, insurance covered some of it, the plan that they had, but they lost most of their inventory. Like, they had way more inventory than that the insurance couldn't cover. So they only, whatever. So hypothetically, there was $500,000 in insurance. They had $2 million in inventory. So they lost all that extra inventory.
Did the city go after your dad and your uncle?
They tried. So no. So what happened was the widows came after the city, New York City, and my father, Rob and Randy Gordon. Okay. So it took 13 years, man,
to settle everything.
The trial, the depositions, everything. Like, dude, they had scientists come from NASA, the insurance company. So my father's. The boiler company is called A.O. Smith. Have you ever heard of A.O. Smith? A huge boiler company, whatever. Okay. So, and then the widows, their insurance, whoever they hired, they had scientists come to prove how the fire happened and how it like traveled it was the FDNY's, it was their fault.
Yeah.
They should have known. They created a backdraft.
Right.
So at the end of it, they got $2 million from my father's insurance company and $12 million from A.O. Smith, which is the boiler company. Wow. Because they were able to prove somehow that they
were faulty.
Yeah, they were faulty.
Yeah, that it was installed.
So they were trying to they were trying to get my dad though, because it was an old building. There was no sprinkler system, so they were trying to pin it on him. They were trying to say that we had propane tanks in the basement, which apparently is illegal, and we did have them down there, but we always passed inspection with an A. We never, ever failed an inspection. And then there was also a fire door in the store halfway between the basement, and you're supposed to close it. But there was like a dowel in the fire door that was still there after the fire. They were able to find the dowel. It was this big. Wow. That was in the door. So the firemen were actually trying to shut it, and they didn't realize that there was something. So you can imagine in this panic, there's a huge fire.
Yeah.
It's about to explode, and they're trying to shut the fire door, but they couldn't because there was a dowel. So they were trying to get my dad on that, but they couldn't. Whatever, it didn't work out. And they were coming. They wanted $180 million. The widows. Wow. I mean, obviously you go big and
Yeah, of course.
get less, but they got $14 million between the injured firemen and the
What
widows.
a tragedy, man. Did your dad ever come back from that?
So yeah, well, that's why my father also, he had to take all his savings, buy a new building. They bought a lot down the block, and they got really unlucky. They bought a gas station lot. They bought it. They were going to start building, and the environmental department walks in. Oh, we want to test the ground. For like hundreds of feet down, the soil's contaminated with.
Wow.
So they had to spend loads of money cleaning it, and they still come and test the soil through a drain, like some sort of drain in the basement of my father's building.
Yeah.
To this day, they're still testing it to see if they could find more, and if they do, they would have to like, I don't know what they would do.
So it seems like the city is keeping a close eye on your dad ever since.
Dude. Yeah, it was ridiculous. So
man, I didn't expect all that from that story. That's crazy.
It was actually the deadliest fire in New York City since 1969.
Yeah.
And then 9/11 happened 3 months later, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that actually like saved my dad and my uncle because the focus was on them, the
Right.
FDNY, all the injured cops, and then all of a sudden 9/11 happens, and that got like swept under the carpet. They forgot about it.
Yeah, which
is fucked up.
It is. Well, it's an interesting concept because I've talked about it in the past. You know, it was a tragedy what happened on 9/11.
Oh yeah.
But there was probably, man, I don't know if I should say this. Mike, help me out. But there were probably some really terrible people
that died in
in 9/11.
Sure.
And I'm going to be careful how I say this, but this is what happens in every tragedy. That probably there were some people out there that could say their lives actually got much better because of
businesses,
that incredible tragedy, right? And I'm not making light of it. Trust me, I know plenty of people that died that day, and we're friends with people that lost parents and all that. But in every tragedy, there's like, let's just say maybe a child molester or something, and now he's gone, and he can't do his shit anymore. And the only reason that all went down was because 9/11. So anyway, but that's just the tip of the iceberg of your story there, Jared.
That wasn't even like
Yeah.
That was actually like kind of like, so I mean, I don't know. So before talking about child molestation, I was actually raped as a kid. That was like part of the pinnacle of the.
That wasn't my segue, but
yeah, I know.
and I know that.
Well, you brought it up already, so I might as well
I was actually
shed light on it.
I was actually, before we got to that, because that happened when you were 9 years old. You started smoking pot around the same time, right? 8 or 9 years old.
9. Well, so right after that, 9.
Now I got a kid that's is 8. Is 8, and
boy or girl?
Boy, and I can't imagine a year from now that he's going to be smoking weed. You gotta walk me through that now.
So,
I mean, were you? How about this? All right, I mean, there's so much to talk to you about that I'm trying to shape it in my head. What kind of childhood did you have?
Dude,
it was like perfect or ideal.
So I grew up in the North Shore of Long Island in Roslyn Heights, which is like a really
Huntington
affluent neighborhood, whatever. I didn't have to ask for I didn't need anything, I mean, we had household issues. My father was like a drug addict, drunk, whatever, and he cheated on my mom and all that cool stuff.
Yeah,
and they were like they were like hippies, they would smoke weed, and so that's how we found the weed. We had family friends that were a little older than us, like 12, 13, 14 years old, and they were started smoking weed. But we hung out with them every day.
Yeah.
Me and my older brother. And that's how it happened. We started smoking weed with them.
Did you find your dad's stash? Your parents' stash?
Eventually, yeah.
Really?
And so we would, steal their weed and smoke it. And unfortunately, my brother was 2 years older than me. So he was 11, which is still young, obviously.
Yeah.
But, I was the little brother. And for him, he was like, all right, you're smoke with me. And so that's how it happened. That's how it started for me. Yeah.
Do you remember that first time?
Yeah, the first time I remember, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
But shortly after that, I was getting high. Yeah.
Just like that.
Just like that, man.
And you were off and running.
I was smoking weed every day by the time I was 11, 12 years old, every day. I was selling weed at 12 years old.
That's what's scary.
In a Jewish, like, rich
in a Jewish neighborhood.
Well, everyone had money, so it was easy.
Right. I don't mean to laugh at that.
Yeah.
But,
No, it's funny.
I mean, you got to kind of find the humor in some of this stuff, or it'll fucking eat you away, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so
it was normal to me, man.
Well, with addiction, you know, with some people, it just takes that one time and it's over.
I had arrived. That's what, like, I knew it. I was like, this is going to be my life. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
I'm supposed to get high. And
you're saying this at 9 years old.
That's what the thought. I remember thinking to myself, like, I want to experience every substance.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When I was a young kid, I remember, like, you know, like, you go to, like, health class or whatever in school.
Yeah.
And, like, I remember, like, the teacher was like, who can name drugs for me? And I'm like, I raised my hand. I named, like, every drug. And he's like, how the fuck how do you know what PCP is? Like,
yeah.
How do you know? And I'm like, I thought everyone knew.
So did you go from pot to cocaine or?
Yeah. Drinking
pot. Same age, 9, 10,
like
11?
I was like addicted to Xanax.
At 12?
Yeah. I knew what Xanax, Valium, Klonopin, everything was at that point.
Yeah.
13, I was like sniffing cocaine. Like, I was like, everyone was. All my friends were, though. That's what was weird. See,
at 13.
Strange. So we're in this rich neighborhood. Everyone's got money.
Yeah.
All the kids are fucking functionally disabled.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's got, like, fucked up families.
Right.
But they all got money.
Yeah.
And we're friends with all the older kids. It was a really small school. So, like, all the older kids, like, you know, the kids that were wheeling and dealing, they're selling to all the younger kids, and we're all friends. So everyone's, like, at house parties getting high together. So you figure, like, oh, rich people, like, no one gets high, no one does drugs. Everyone's doing drugs and getting high.
Yeah.
And it was weird. Like, when I moved to Queens, I was like, if the kids in Nassau are this fucked up, when I moved to Queens, these kids are going to be murderers. I went there, and no one even knew, like, what drugs. Like, at my age, like, they were like, like good kids.
Why do you think that your rich neighborhood out there on Long
Everyone
Island?
in that whole area that I was in, man, was like that. Like,
so weird because I grew up in Huntington, and I mean we obviously have an age difference here, but it wasn't a pill thing when I was growing up.
It was pills and cocaine.
It was a lot of drinking, and then, you know, when I hit 18, the cocaine was everywhere in college, but the pills. That's a newer thing.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as between my generation and your generation.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, all the housewives, you know, and the fathers, they all take pills. You have a medicine cabinet full of pills. And like, your kid goes through it, and then that's...
I mean, I have a theory when they changed the drinking age. You know, people now weren't going out to the bars and at 18 and drinking and stuff. And they, you know, you're a kid, you still want to get high and do some shit. And that's when I think people started looking into the medicine cabinets.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Of course, like,
because we didn't have that going on when I was growing up.
Yeah, it was. When I look back at it, I'm like, wow.
Right.
How the hell did that happen?
Right. And where were your parents? Were they
were there.
Were they aware?
All right. So I have, like, the greatest parents. Like,
right.
They are like awesome fucking people. They've been through hell and back also. And yeah, they were like, you know, like, they enabled us, but then they were like, you know, when shit started getting real bad for me and my older brother, you know, they did the tough love thing. It's either you're going to get help or you're going to get the fuck out.
Right.
And that's what it came down to. And, but, like, we had great parents. Like, my parents have been there for me through thick and thin, like, through everything I've ever been through. They've never turned their backs on me. And, like, you know, like, when we were younger, we were smoke weed with my parents, like, when we were, like, 12, 13.
You were one of those.
Yeah. I had, like, parents that were really down to earth, and they were, like, super open, and, like...
My mom would freak out if we came home with, like, you know, alcohol on our breath.
Yeah, I mean, they weren't, like...
I can't imagine sitting there and drinking and getting high with my parents.
Yeah.
I came from a very strict family. I mean, that shit was not going to go down, man.
Not me, dude.
Yeah.
They wanted to be, like, cool parents, but, like... I think we thought that it meant that we could, like, do anything.
Yeah.
But they weren't, like, they didn't want us to just do whatever the fuck we wanted to do.
Yeah, I understand.
But that's what me and my brother took it as, like, oh, we're smoking weed with our parents. That means we could, like, shoot heroin, too.
What age were you smoking with your parents?
12. I remember my cousin's wedding. We were in California in, like, Santa Barbara or something, and the whole wedding was smoking weed, dude. And I was in, like, middle school. And we're all smoking, drinking.
And your parents are in the room?
Yeah, we're smoking. My mom's passing me the bowl.
It's amazing.
Yeah. If you met my parents, you'd be like, wow, your parents are fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm not judging them.
No, I'm just saying.
Trust me, I'm not judging
I
them.
don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Judge me or not. Doesn't matter to me.
But I really am not. It's just amazing. Anyway, and when was the first time you went into rehab?
I was 20 or 21.
Oh, so from 12 to 21, you...
Oh, yeah, I was... So I was using all those drugs, but like I never really like... I started getting in trouble when I was like 14. I got arrested, and then I started getting arrested more. But once I never really did painkillers.
Yeah.
And once I started doing painkillers, that's when shit started getting bad. And then I started getting to Oxycontin and stronger opiates, and that's when stuff started to really slide downhill for me.
What'd you get arrested for the first time?
Assault.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 14.
And did you fuck him up?
It was like more of like this kid stole my bike.
Right.
And I saw him, and I was with my friends, and he didn't know that I knew that he stole my bike.
Yeah.
And so we like jumped him, me and my two friends, and we beat the shit out of him. We got arrested. It wasn't that bad though. We got like I got like 6 months probation.
Right. And you didn't learn your lesson at that point.
I thought it was like fucking awesome. I was like, hell yeah. Fuck that kid.
God.
I thought that's like what life was about, like being like an idiot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
I had a really warped like thought process. Like everything was like.
No, explain that.
I don't know. I'm fucked up, dude. My brain's fucked up.
Right.
Especially as a kid, I thought like.
Was it the pot though that made you think some weird shit, or?
I don't know. I'm probably also like born half retarded. Like not to sound like no offense to retarded people, but I think like I was like I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just fucked up.
Can I stop you with the retarded thing? Like it drives me nuts because I respect retarded people.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said no offense to retarded people. But.
No, we were just going over this the other day, but I'm one of these guys that is like, we should be able to use some of these words still. It doesn't mean that it's like, fuck retarded people.
I know, I hate that. Like,
I feel bad for anyone that has a mentally disabled, person in their family. But then you use the word retarded, and then they think you're a monster.
I know. I said something the other day. It was like such a petty word, and they were like, "Oh my." The person was like, "How could you say that?" And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Yeah.
You're really.
So you think the painkillers was?
That was what.
That's when you were completely out of control.
That's what like turned into like my drug of choice.
Right.
So like obviously I knew I was already a drug addict and an alcoholic and.
Didn't it start with an injury though? The painkillers?
Yeah, it hurt my neck.
Doing
training.
What? Training?
Yeah.
At this point, were you training?
I started fighting when I was 17.
Really?
I had my first amateur fight, 2007. Yeah. And
did training give you a relief from the voices in your head and your foot, like you said, your brain and the partying?
Yeah, it was definitely something that like I had a. All right, so you know what? I never really spoke about this before, but like I remember going to high school and especially when I moved to Queens, I would take like the subway to school and I'd have like my headphones on. I'd be listening to like 50 Cent or some shit like that, and I thought I was like the baddest motherfucker on the block.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm just like a white kid, and. But I felt in my soul that like school wasn't for me, and I really felt like I had there was a higher purpose for me, and I always wanted to find what it was. So I thought, all right, I thought at the time it was about like making money and like having girls and like like all this stupid shit.
Yeah.
And like so I was like I'm gonna like I don't want to go to school. I'll just make money illegally and I'll like buy a business. I don't know what I was thinking or even. I don't even know if that's what I was thinking, but that's what it felt like. Like I had this thing where I was like, there's something bigger for me, but I didn't know what it was yet. And I was so warped that like I had no direction. There was no like positive in my life yet. So I thought that like, I was like, I'm not going to go to school. This isn't for me. I don't want to go to college like everyone else. There's got to be something bigger for me. So I graduated high school. I was working in a. I was
going to ask you if you made it all the way to the end. Of high
I
school.
graduated.
You graduated. Okay.
With a 65.1.
All right, you graduated. But can I stop you for a second there because we're similar. Like my whole life growing up, I didn't go the the drug route, but I can relate to what you were saying. Like, my dad said to me, he's like, you've got to find something you really love to do because you're going to do it for a long time. And the thought, and no offense to anyone out there, but the thought of me having an office job, I was like, I'd rather fucking be like homeless, just wandering around the United States than do that. I just felt like, I'll say this, I felt just like you said, that it wasn't for me. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I kind of like doing this radio thing, but there was no guarantees. But I knew it's like, fuck that. I'm going to try to do this because I really don't want to go to an office and have a 9-to-5 job. So I can relate to that, man.
That was like my exact.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
Because I think a lot of kids, because I had a lot of friends growing up on Long Island, and their parents were different than my dad. My dad was cool as fuck, and their parents were really strict and like, you go to this college, you take this major because it's a safe major that's going to give you this job, and you're going to live in this neighborhood, and you're going to be married by 25 years old, and you're going to have 2 kids. Their life was set for them by 15, 16 years old. That shit started. Miserable. And I see these guys from time to time, and they are miserable because they were never able to make their own decisions in life. So back to your story.
No,
there, Jared. I'm talking to Jared Flash Gordon, by the way. A fascinating dude who's in the UFC. He's got a fight, I think, in December, right?
Yeah, December 15th.
Right on. All right, continue.
So I just like had this like feeling in that like there's something bigger, whatever. So I graduated high school, and I actually got accepted to LIU somehow in Brooklyn. But I had found fighting that summer. I found MMA, and the UFC was getting really big. Like the Ultimate Fighter was on TV, and that's what like set the UFC off was the Ultimate Fighter show. And I remember I would watch it every night, and I was like, I fucking love this shit. Like, this is awesome. And I wrestled and boxed a little as a kid, so I had like a knack for it, and I loved being like physical. And so I remember I graduated, and I was like drinking tons of beer, and I got like fat. So I was like, I want to get in shape, but I didn't want to like go lift weights in the gym. So but I wanted to box or do something. So I was actually at the time looking for like a boxing gym, and I was going to like Manhattan, and I'm like, this is too far. I'm not gonna come all the way to Manhattan just to go to a gym. Yeah. Especially as a kid. But I walked out of the subway station on Steinway Street, and I'm like not paying attention. I look up, and there's a martial arts school, and it's called Combined Martial Arts, and it was home of the Rhino fight team. That's where like Frankie Edgar, a couple of guys started training, and there was a Rhino fight team in Jersey and a Rhino fight team in Queens. And so I walked in there, and I started boxing, and I started doing jiu-jitsu, and I fell in love with it immediately.
Did you pick it up fast?
Yeah, super fast. 4 months later, I had my first amateur fight.
Wow.
And I fought, and I won.
Wow.
And at first, it was like just a bucket list thing.
And how old were you around now?
17.
17, okay.
And I was like, this is it. Like,
right.
This is what I fought. I remember getting in the cage. I was a child, basically. I fought a 26-year-old, and I whipped his ass. And that was it, man. It was like shooting heroin.
Right.
Like the ultimate
high.
Better than drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
I would assume you shot heroin. I mean, they're laughing in the other room. Why laugh at that? I wasn't even going to ask him about that. I just assumed.
Of course I did.
How old were you when you did that?
Started shooting heroin when I was 22.
Oh, okay. Well, it's all right. It's interesting you just said that because it sounds like your story now makes a drastic turn, and you're on the right track. At 17, you fall in love with UFC. You're training, but you still had some serious problems to get through.
So I found something that I loved.
Yeah.
But I had like no intention of stopping what I was already doing. Like I wanted to do both.
Right.
I didn't know that to be a professional athlete, you can't do drugs.
Right. Oh, okay.
I found out later on. So
I don't know. Mark McGuire did pretty well.
Yeah. All of them did.
They're quiet in that room over there. What, you don't think he did? You don't think he did the steroids? Is that what's going on, Mike?
How about Brett Favre?
Today's
Brett
actually,
Favre, man, he's a interesting character himself.
Well, I didn't mind that the guys did the steroids in baseball because I don't give a fuck.
Painkillers,
right? I don't give a fuck if you're hitting a 600-foot home run. That's exciting for me. I don't care
You should let them do it.
Yeah, it makes the sport better. I don't care about them as people.
They all did it.
Why are you laughing at that, Robert? They don't care about you as a person.
No, it's just a great line. I like that.
I'm serious.
I don't disagree.
I don't know him personally, so when I watch a sport and if the drugs make him that much better, then fuck it.
You should do it.
It makes
Right.
the performance better.
Exactly.
You're
Although
more
the UFC
entertained.
is very strict
Very
with their.
strict,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
So, where are we?
Well, you found something you
So I
love.
found something I loved. But
You're 17. You won your first fight,
But
and
I had no intention of
stopping the other side of you.
stopping the other side. Yeah.
Right.
So I did really well. I was an amateur. I was a 2-time amateur champion, and I was getting high. I would go and fight these kids, and I would beat them, and I'm like, this is fucking easy. And I don't know what it was. I guess I just had a natural ability to do it. Things got really bad though. Like I said, when I started doing the painkillers, and I started getting involved with doctor shopping and going doctor to doctor, and
Right.
getting pills and selling them. And a good friend, my best friend, he's actually right there in my. You can see him in the background.
Yeah.
He died. He's like my best friend. He died of an overdose. I actually gave him the pills.
You did?
Yeah, and he died. And that was when I fucking tailspinned out of control.
What year was that? How old were you?
2010.
2010.
I was 21.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
It's October 12th or October 10th. October 12th, 2010. Yeah.
right.
So,
How'd you get past that?
I didn't, man. I used it as a
No,
I'm still not over it.
Right.
It was fucked up, man. It was fucked up, dude. And so actually, I had fought he died 3 weeks later. I had my last amateur fight. I lost. I was sniffing Oxycontin day of the fight. I had no regard for anything at the time. And I remember being in the funeral home, and I'm in the bathroom sniffing Oxycontin, the same drugs that he died from. And I just didn't give a fuck, dude.
Right.
And I was in a really dark place. But,
Can I ask you, does the family blame you to this day?
No, I've seen them. I've visited them and had lunches with them. And
Right. I would assume
stuff
he
like that.
was going to find the pills no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't make him.
No, I understand. Yeah, well, that's why I want to make sure
Yeah,
that you get
I mean,
that
we
part
were
of it
I
out.
gave them to him to sell.
Right.
And he wound up doing them.
Okay.
So, so that was October he died. And then I said, I got to get out of the city. And I moved to a gym upstate New York called Bomb Squad. And that's where John Jones came out of, and
Binghamton area?
it's Cortland area.
Yeah, Cortland, okay.
Binghamton area.
Yeah, sure.
So John Jones was there. He left a month before I got there. Aljamain Sterling, a bunch of fighters came out of there. And so I went there, and a month I started training. I was smoking weed, but I stopped doing opiates. I was trying to clean myself up, and I got offered a pro fight, and I took it and I won for CFFC, Cage Free Fighting Championships. It's the biggest regional promotion in the country, and I won.
Nice.
And then I relapsed the next day or something like that in the casino. But that's how I made the transfer to being a pro.
Right.
That was 2011. That was February 4th, 2011.
So you were able to stay off the painkillers while you're training for that first fight.
Yeah, for 2
And then
months.
as soon as you won, pretty much the next day, you went right back to it.
Yeah, I was like, well, this is cause for celebration.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was in the casino, and I remember, I used again.
How do you feel at that point? Were you disgusted with yourself, or were you
After relapsing?
Yeah.
Nah, I didn't give a fuck, dude.
even after winning your first
I
fight?
was like, oh, should I do it? Yeah, I'm going to do it. And I did it. I had no desire of getting clean. I just wanted to get.
I love your
sober.
honesty, by the way, buddy.
Oh yeah, I don't give.
I didn't want me to
shit,
call you
dude.
buddy. That's what. But I love your honesty, because most people would have said, "Yeah, I did feel bad, because I had this other path I was going down." But I love that you said no. The fight was over. I'm celebrating. I'm
Yeah.
going right back to that.
Yeah, I wanted to get high, man.
And then were you just completely out of control again?
Oh yeah, I just went right back to fucking being a.
But you were
piece of
still
shit.
training and fighting, though.
Yeah, and that's when I went to rehab for the first time. I went to Miami on this ridiculous vacation, a drug fest, and then I ended up in rehab. I went down to Miami and I went to rehab from vacation,
Right.
straight from vacation.
Was that
Really weird.
Did you do it, or someone said, "Come on, man, let's give this a shot"?
My ex-girlfriend lives in Florida, and she kicked me out of her house. So I went down there on vacation,
Yeah.
and she kicked me out of her house, and I had no option but to go to a rehab. It was funny because it was my brother had gotten sober like a year before that, and he was down in Florida, and his AA sponsor from New York moved to Florida.
Yeah.
So my parents were, I was like, can you get me on a plane to come home? They're like, no, like, figure it out on your own. Like, you think you're, a big shot, like, you could figure it out on your own. And they're like, but call Rich, my brother's sponsor. So I called him, and he's like, and this guy, like, this is what he does. He helps people. And he was like, where are you? And I told him where I was. And he's like, today's my wedding day. And I was like, oh, I had no idea. I'll figure it out. And he's like, no, I'm coming to get you. On his wedding day, the guy fucking came and got me and brought me to fucking rehab.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that one obviously didn't. Did it work for a little while, that first rehab?
No, I left like 17 days in.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. I did some really fucked up shit there.
And what do you think of rehab? Do you think it helps a lot of
Yeah, I mean, if you like
take it seriously?
So I went in there. I was 22. I had no, like I said, I had no desire to get clean, and I was completely blind to the message, and I didn't listen to anything they said, and I did some really fucked up shit when I was there, dude. I actually left.
Well, Mike.
No, you gotta tell the fucked up shit you did there.
Yeah, I'm gonna. So I actually left, right?
Yeah.
My friend that I went to high school with here in Queens, he moved to Florida. He came and picked me up. I left the rehab on a Sunday, and like on a Sunday, like they just let you do whatever you want. It's like an off day at the rehab, and so I just like escaped out the back. No one knew that I left. So I go to Miami with my friend, and I buy a bunch of fucking pills. And I come back into the rehab, and I was telling everyone that I was in the rehab with that I'm going. So they were all giving me money. Oh, get me this, get me this. All right, I'll be back. I showed up 6 hours later. They still didn't know that I had left. And I snuck back into the property, and I gave it to everyone, and they all relapsed. And the whole all the staff members knew the kids were high. And I knew that they were going to test everyone, like piss test everyone. So I didn't take mine. So they all got busted and kicked out, and I was like sitting there, and then one girl that I gave her pills, she went back to Staten Island and died the next day. From heroin,
fuck, man?
So it was like, that was like more blood on my hands.
Right.
And then like all these kids that had gotten kicked out because they all tested positive, they tested me, and I didn't take, because I knew they were going to test us. I didn't take the drug, so I didn't get kicked out.
Yeah.
But then I said, fuck this, and I left anyways the next day. And that was fucked up. I think about that a lot, and I'm like, geez. I fucked up all those kids.
So then you come back to New York, and now you're still training, and you're winning more fights, right?
Yeah, so I come home. That was such a blur that time. I come home. I go back to using. I actually went to a home. My parents wouldn't let me home. I went to a homeless shelter in upstate New York. It's like a homeless shelter, half treatment center called St. Christopher's.
Yeah.
I was there for a month. I got kicked out of there for fighting. I come home. Oh, now I'm on the needle, though. I learned how to use the needle when I was down in Florida. So I'm shooting heroin, I'm shooting coke. And at the time, when I first started doing painkillers and OxyContin was big, no one was really into heroin yet. And everyone was getting high on opiates. And then they got rid of the OxyContin,
right,
and everyone moved back to heroin. So now I progressed, my disease progressed to heroin and IV cocaine. And that was like when it all got fucked up. So.
Oh, before that it wasn't fucked up.
Nah. Oh, not yet. No, it got way worse for me.
Yeah.
So, actually, when I was down in Florida, I missed this whole part. I got arrested for a home invasion, robbery, felony battery. I was facing 25 to life, but I beat the case because the kid that was supposed to testify against me was like they never found him, and he disappeared for some reason. I don't know.
So you lucked out.
Yeah, he's actually dead now too. That kid. Yeah.
From what?
I don't know.
You just know he's dead.
Yeah,
but what, you broke into just some random homes?
No, so what happened was he was a drug dealer, and
okay.
And me and my friend went to rob him. The same kid that broke me out of the rehab.
Do you have a book deal yet?
No, everyone keeps telling me that. I don't even know where to start. There's too many stories, dude. There's so many.
This was me writing for an hour. I got sheets of stuff on you.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, you got it. I'm going to get you a book deal.
What to do. But anyway, so
you and your friend.
yeah, we wanted to go rob a
Yeah.
drug dealer. He lets us in his house.
Yeah.
I choke him unconscious and I steal his drugs and we run out of the house and we're like trying to pull out of his driveway. My friend was like trying to get the key in the ignition. He starts his car up. We're pulling out of the driveway and the kid jumps out of the hedges and we run him over. And I was like, oh, we fucked up. He's dead. We're going to prison forever. So the neighbors heard the commotion and called the cops. So when the cops came, he told them that, oh, I was sleeping. Some guys broke into my house and robbed me. I know who they are. Meanwhile, he let us. It sounds way worse than it really was.
Yeah.
I never broke into like a stranger's house and beat them up and robbed them. He was a piece of shit drug dealer, and I robbed him. But the charge was home invasion, robbery, felony battery, and actually I was guilty of that because say you and your wife live in a house together and she kicks you out of the house.
Yeah.
But you like want to get mail from the house.
Yeah.
And you like try to. And like she's at the door and you push your way into the door and steal mail, that's home invasion robbery.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. So it's like, it's just like, it's bullshit.
Even though you never went to prison, I mean, did you have to do some time during
Yeah, I was in,
arrest?
For 3 weeks, I was in.
3 weeks?
Yeah, in maximum security holding.
What were you thinking? What were you thinking when the guy never came forward to testify and then you were off the hook?
Dude, so I remember my mom came down to the trial.
Yeah.
And I'm in like a blue
Wait, so you're sitting in the courtroom waiting for this guy to show?
Yeah.
And he never shows?
So I'm sitting there in a jumpsuit with like shackles on.
Yeah.
And my mom's there crying her eyes out. And I remember, I'm like, I'm sitting with all the other dirtbags, like waiting for our, they have us all in there together, like as we're getting arraigned or whatever it is, the trial. And I remember like they were waiting for this kid to come testify.
Yeah.
And he never showed up, and they just dismissed the case right there.
Just like that.
Dismissed.
And then they unshackled you and you went home with mom?
I had no bond.
Right.
And I was facing 25 to life. If that kid came and testified against me, I'd still be sitting in fucking God knows where in Florida prison. I'd probably be like in the Aryan Brotherhood. I'd have like no option but to join some.
A lot of face tattoos.
Yeah, and have like a swastika on my chest.
You don't seem to have tattoos.
I have no tattoos.
No tattoos.
Yeah.
All right, so
that was like, that's just like, that was whatever.
What do you mean that's whatever?
It was just like something that happened so long ago that I don't even think about it anymore.
Not that long ago. What year was that?
2012. I got arrested September 12th, 2012.
We're only at 2018 here. That's 6 years ago.
To me, it feels like fucking forever.
You have lived a life. How old are you? Like 28 years old?
I turned 30 2 days ago.
Turned 30. All right.
So it's funny though, because like I got out of jail that day.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta get high because I was dope sick, and I had my first overdose that night. Got out of jail, had my first overdose with Mark, my friend. That he was a good guy too. I overdosed, right, and he fucking steals the money out of my pocket.
Who's Mark?
He was like my best friend.
Right.
He still is.
Right. He still is.
He's still fucking.
He's just.
I wake up like my face is blue.
Right.
I can't move my right arm, and my pockets are inside out. I'm like, Mark, where the fuck's my money? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, how long have I been out for? He's like, 45 minutes. He's like, you were making crazy noises, man. I was like, blue. He's like, your lips were blue. And that was just like the start of it all, dude.
Wait, what do you mean that was the start of it all? It seems like that should be near the end of it all.
No.
It got worse.
It got way worse for me, yeah. It got worse mentally, maybe not physically.
So he doesn't show up, you leave, and that night you OD for the first time.
First time, yeah.
Where were you when you OD'd?
The Hard Rock Casino parking lot in Hollywood, Florida. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been to that hotel?
No.
It's a nice hotel.
Yeah, that seems it.
Awesome parking garage.
Awesome parking
garage is great for shooting dope.
And the whole way, none of this is making you go, man, I gotta figure something new out here. You were still just staying the course?
Dude, I was so addicted.
Yeah,
I didn't give a fuck.
You just didn't give a fuck. You weren't scared to die?
No. I was like welcoming it.
Right.
And we were doing everything that we could to die.
Right.
Me and my friend Mark. We were running around Florida. We were in places that it looked like Somalia. Some of the places that we were at, like trying to buy drugs, and we were like in Overtown in Miami. It was disgusting. You've been there.
Sure, have your
Ryan was probably like scurrying around somewhere behind me. I didn't even know who he was. He's like some other crackhead.
I remember when we started this podcast, you said, and his story's worse?
Dude, you got to hear his story.
Well, we're going to talk to you.
Yeah.
I was in jail a couple months before him at the same jail.
You were in jail. Say that again because you were off mic.
Yeah, I was in jail a couple months before. I think it was April, for a few months right before he got there, the same jail. And we didn't know each other either. We were just
Right.
How long were you there for? You were there for a little while.
Yeah,
right?
2 months.
And you've been sober the same time?
No.
A few years?
No.
Oh, a little more recent?
Yeah. He actually helped me out a lot. I relapsed like 5 months ago.
He had like 6 years sober though.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, doesn't that scare you? Because you said earlier that you've been sober for 3 years.
It doesn't really scare me, but like, what am I gonna do?
Right.
If I relapse, I fucked up.
Right.
And if I die,
You die.
then I die. But if I,
Yeah, but
this is how I look at it. Like, so Ryan's been sober. Ryan was sober for 6 years. He relapsed, right? That's a pretty good track record for him. Like, he could have been getting high this whole time.
Yeah.
He probably would have been dead if he was.
But does that
So,
doesn't
like,
scare?
I mean, obviously you don't want to relapse, but
Yeah, but that doesn't scare the shit out of you that after 6 years he relapsed.
oh yeah, yeah.
No, I'm just trying to see.
No,
where,
no.
I'm just trying to see where your head's.
I mean,
at.
it scares me. The thought of going back to that scares me. But like, I mean, what am I gonna do? I can't mope around about it. Like, it is what it is. There's other scarier things.
And now back to the story. So you said that was
Yeah.
that was actually the beginning. Like it got
That
way
was
worse.
like, yeah, that was just like me. Like, I was just touching the surface there with what like my addiction came to.
Right.
Yeah. So like I had visited a lot of physical bottoms, like deaths, and I've been in psych wards and rehabs and therapeutic communities and all sorts of different institutions. I've been in like 24 or 25 different institutions because of my drug use.
Wow.
Hospitals.
And you OD'd a bunch more.
Well, 3 times.
Three
total.
times total.
How many times you overdose?
Lost count.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't. Most of them ended up with me just waking up
Right.
somewhere. I was never hospitalized for an overdose. So.
He's a pussy. I don't overdose that much. No, but like, yeah, so I said, I'd visited lots of physical bottoms,
Yeah.
but like but then I started hitting these mental bottoms, and like I experienced like mental anguish that you like can't describe,
Right.
and that's when I was like, I can't do this any longer.
Right. And you were getting arrested
And-
still for
Yeah.
other things after the.
Yeah, I've been arrested 8 times directly or indirectly because of drugs and alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
So then mentally it was starting to get to you, and you said, "I can't do this anymore."
Yeah, I just like, and also like my parents, like, and the people that loved me, like, we were like I tortured their souls. you know?
Right.
My mom would be like, every time the phone rings,
Sure.
phone rings at nighttime. What do I think? It's you fucking dead, or
Right.
the cops. Oh, we have your son,
Right.
or oh, we just found your son dead in a Barnes and Noble's bathroom or something like that.
Any other incidences in there?
As far as overdoses,
Well, I think you were. Oh shit! Where did I write down?
there's a lot.
No, recently. Yeah. Okay. You overdosed 3 times. And,
Okay,
And the last one was in 2015. That's not,
Yeah. So
And I think you were declared dead on that.
yeah. I died a couple times.
Did you see anything? What'd you see?
No, dude, it's so easy to die. So easy.
What do you mean it's so
It
easy
was
to
the
die?
easiest thing I ever did.
It was peaceful.
Shoot a bunch of heroin. Well, this is how it happened for me, at least.
Yeah.
Like, when you watch movies, someone overdoses, it looks like super violent and disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, you don't feel any of that.
Right.
You just shoot it. A warm blanket comes over you,
Yeah.
and you close your eyes, and that's it. You don't feel anything. You wake up and you're like, "Oh, what happened?"
Did you see the light? Did you see dead relatives?
Nah.
Give me something.
There was no one there, bro.
Nothing.
I think because like, all right, so I'm a big higher power God guy now, and I think like he was like, no, it's not your time yet. I'm not gonna show you shit.
Right.
You're not gonna die. What am I gonna show you?
Okay.
So I think it's like when you're gonna die, that's when you must see something.
So in your head, as you were ODing, were you thinking to yourself, "Oh shit, this is it. I'm dying"? And if so, when you woke up, were you like, "Holy fuck.
So
I
my
made
last
it.
overdose was like it was.
This is the 2015 one.
Yeah, so I was in like a Best Western on 21st Street in Long Island City, right next to Queensbridge projects, and I was like cooped up in there for like 6 days, and I was shooting massive amounts of cocaine and heroin, and I was so paranoid, dude. I was so paranoid. I thought there was like midget police in the room with me. I was like running through the hallways. People were like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I was like naked in the hallways at times, and I would like go in and out. I thought people were like, I was going door to door in the hallways, like looking under people's doors because I thought there was cops in the rooms. Yeah. It was insane. So finally, I was shooting cocaine. Every time I shot the cocaine, I would have like a massive seizure, and like this is some sick shit. Every time I would shoot, I would put 911 on speed dial, and I would shoot all the cocaine, and I would start like seizing out, and if it felt like too intense, I would hit 911, and then I would like fall out for like 30 seconds or like a minute, and I'd get up and I'd be like, "Oh, that was serious," and the cops would be like on the line. I'd be like, "Oh, it was an accident," and I would hang up. And then they started like eventually like calling me like, you can't do that. You can't do this. Like, how many times are you gonna accidentally call us?
Right.
And I'm sorry, it just keeps my phone. You know how like the iPhone has that like when you swipe it, it's got that 911. Whatever. I made up a bunch of excuses. It was but I remember I was having so many seizures that every muscle in my body was hurting from all the contractions.
Yeah.
And like I remember like my jaw, like my shoulders, my traps, like my everything hurt. I couldn't even walk because my feet were hurting so much from seizing out so much. And then finally,
well, can I stop you there? Because when you OD'd in 2015, you were, because it's important to the story, you were 9-1.
I was 9-1 as a pro at the time.
As a pro in MMA fighting, you weren't. No,
I was still like able to. Yeah. Like,
but obviously, you had skills.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, if you're
I beat a lot of good guys, man.
Yeah, you're 9-1, and you're addicted to everything in sight.
Yeah.
But you're still winning your fights.
Yeah. So I finally like shot enough heroin and cocaine to make me overdose for the third time, and I hit like a desk and like pulled a lamp off, like as I fell, and then the person in the room next to me called the front desk, and they called the cops, and they came and ripped me out of the hotel. And this was Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, the 25th is Christmas Day, right?
Yeah.
Christmas Day. So I went to I was going to the hospital, and I'm like, "Yo, where's my drugs?" And they were like, "I'm like, where are we going?" They're like, "The hospital." I'm like, "Where's my drugs?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Can I?" They're like, "You're not giving your drugs back." And I'm like, "Oh, all right." I'm like, and I remember being in the ambulance. I'm like, "I'm in a lot of pain. Do you guys have morphine?" And they were like, "Are you fucking joking? You want more? You think we're gonna give you morphine?" And I'm like, "Come on, man, I'm really hurting." And I woke up like a day, and I guess they gave me a bunch of Halidol, which is like a tranquilizer type thing. And I fell asleep, and I woke up a day and a half later, and I was like, one more time. I ripped the IV out of my arm, and I ran out of the hospital. I don't know. I have no sneakers. All I had was a T-shirt, but I had a bunch of cash on me. So I was like, one more time. I ran out of the hospital, and I bought more heroin. And I showed up at home. I'm like, "Hey," my parents were like, "You're alive." Like, they thought I was dead for sure because they haven't heard from me all Christmas. They were for sure that I was going to die.
Right.
And they were pretty much right. And I'm like, "I just need sneakers." They were like, "We're not letting you in." I'm like, "I just need sneakers, and I'm going to go to rehab." And I was really on my way to detox. I was like, "Let me just get high one more time. I'll go to detox." So it was funny. I went to detox, and I'm like, "You guys got a bathroom?" And I go in there, and I'm shooting heroin, and they come in the bathroom, and they're like, you gotta get the fuck out of here. Like, and I'm like, "Come on, I just want to get high one more time and then go to detox." They were like, "No, it's not how it works.
Doesn't work that way.
You can't bring drugs into the."
Yeah.
So they actually brought me from, this was called Cornerstones. It was on Union Turnpike right here in Queens. And I took a cab to Creedmoor, which is on the Grand Central Parkway, Alley Pond Park Road. It's like a psych ward, but they have an alcohol treatment center. And I was outside. I shot the rest of my drugs. And I went to Flushing Detox, and they brought me to Creedmoor. So I went to Flushing. I had to wait like 6 hours for a bed. And I went into detox. And that was it, man. I've been sober since.
So what happened that made you go, all right, I'm good? Nothing?
Dude, I don't know, bro. I just was like,
because I mean that's not even 3 years ago.
so like the only
it's
reason
coming up on 3
the only
years.
reason I wanted to like when I came out of the hospital, like I was super dope sick.
Right.
So I was like, I gotta get high because I feel shitty.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get some drugs so I could feel all right and then go to detox.
Right.
So I was like, all right. So being dope sick is like having the flu times 20 with severe depression. That's what being dope sick is like.
Can't imagine.
Miserable. So just to get out of that is just so you can function normally is like what I was trying to do. I wasn't like, I mean, wanted to get high, but like I just didn't want to feel shitty.
But
so
it sounds like your mindset was starting to get a little different at that point.
So it was like Christmas.
Yeah.
Holiday season. I miss Thanksgiving again. I miss Christmas again. And like when I showed up at my parents' house, they looked like sick. Like they looked like they had the worst like last couple weeks ever. Like they were so depressed. My younger brother wouldn't even look at me. My dogs like knew. I have 3 beagles. Well, I had 2 at the time. They wouldn't even.
They didn't want anything to do with you.
They knew.
Yeah.
Like they knew like I was being like fucked up. Like I just had this feeling, and I was like being in that motel that week.
Right.
I was experiencing things and seeing and hearing things in my head that you never want to fucking experience.
Right.
And I was in like prison inside my head.
Right.
So I had enough. And I also at this point, so leading up to that, I was like in and out of detox. Like I had this guy, Tommy, who was my AA sponsor, and he wouldn't give up on me. He would bring me to detox. I would leave. I would go to rehab. I would leave. He would bring me back. I'd leave, back and forth, and he wouldn't give up on me. He knew my dad for like 25 years, so he wouldn't give up on me, man. And he just kept bringing me. So we went back to Flush and Detox like one more time. I went to Flush and Detox like 6 times in like a 2-month period, and I went to rehab I went to other rehabs like 3 times in that period. So finally, I went back to detox, and like I went to sleep that night, and I woke up the next morning. It was the 27th, which is my sober date. So I got high on the 26th. I woke up the 27th. It was the last time. Was the first day I woke up sober in a long time, and I remember sitting there like it's about to be New Year's. I got nothing. No one wants to have anything to do with me. I just experienced like hell in my head, and I was just at this mental low of like that I've never felt before.
Yeah.
And that was it, man. And also the biggest difference was that I started to kind of listen to this guy Tommy and like listen to the things that he was saying, and it kind of like was resonating with me. Like he planted the seed, you know, and he planted the seed months before that, but it started to like take hold, you know.
Right.
And
did it feel good to wake up sober that day? Or
I mean, it felt good because they also had me like on like come off drugs and stuff like that, but I didn't have to shove a needle in my arm that day.
Right.
I didn't have to like go rob someone or steal money out of my mom's purse or do some conniving shit to get my fix. And so that was already like a freeing feeling, you know.
And it's been almost 3 years.
It will be 3 years this December 27th.
Any physical issues because of all the drug abuse over the years?
No, man. I don't know how. I should have like Hep C or
something,
some crazy shit like that.
But you're good.
I never.
Because I mean, looking at you, you're in great shape. I'm like, I would never think that a story like that would come out of you. And honestly, you probably don't even have to. You probably wouldn't have to tell everyone this story, but you're choosing to tell the story.
So. I mean, all right. So
and we didn't even talk about the molestation at 9. No. This is an hour tangent. I was actually going to go to that.
We could talk about that now if you want.
Do you mind?
Yeah, let's do it. Come on.
Come on. I'm just kidding.
Want to reenact it?
No, my God. You were 9 years old at sleepaway camp.
Yeah, and I got like.
Do you think that led to the drug problem?
It was definitely like a reason for self-medication.
Were you smoking pot?
No, this was before all the drugs and alcohol.
Because at 9, you also started smoking pot.
Like,
so that's how you.
So I was like 8, turning 9.
So that's how you dealt with what happened to you.
Pretty much.
Fucking A, man. I'm gonna get sick.
All right,
For real, I'm going to get sick.
Sure you want to get? I'm going to get you sick right now.
Yeah.
So I remember being led away by this guy, right, in camp. He's like, "Oh, come with me." I'm like, "Where are we going?" And so basically, I had to like suck some cock and get fucked in my ass by another man. He was like in his 20s.
At 9.
And it hurt so bad, dude. Oh, I remember. And I'm thinking, like, I remember thinking, like, I guess this is like what people do. I don't know what to think. I don't even know. And I remember, like, I came home and I was just like, my soul was like dead. I remember my parents being, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Nothing."
You didn't tell
and
anybody.
like he was like, "You can't tell anyone, you know, like you can't tell anyone."
The guy said this?
Yeah.
Motherfucker.
So he actually like got caught in a child pornography ring, and he's in prison right now. And I actually talked to the feds about him.
Right.
So I actually dealt with this later on. Also, we didn't obviously.
Because you didn't tell anyone until you were 23.
23 years old, yeah. So
how the fuck? And I understand.
So this is how it happened.
But no, I'm just saying, how the fuck do you keep that to yourself for 14 years?
All right, so I remember like going to school the next year.
Yeah.
Like back to like fall time, and I would think about it like during class, like the action of having like him behind me, you know, and I remember thinking like I didn't want to think it. I didn't want to think about it, and like I had like these mechanisms to make me forget, and like I would have this thought of like a guillotine coming down on my head and chopping my head off, and poof, like the thought would go away, and it was just like a mechanism, and I would just stop thinking about it. So I buried it, and I mean I would imagine like, you know, I started getting violent as I got older, and I wanted to be like physical. I wanted to beat people up, and I wanted to like get high. I wanted to do everything I could to get outside of myself.
Sure.
So I went to rehab at this therapeutic community in upstate New York. I was there for like 6 months. It was terrible. It was called Samaritan Village. Actually, it was the place sucked, but it got me sober for 20 months. It was my first go at sobriety. And so I talked to my mom. She's like, "Oh, you wouldn't believe it. This guy from Camp Canadensis got arrested, one of the counselors, and he got caught in a child pornography ring." I'm like, "Really?" So she sent me the article, and it's the fucking guy that raped me. So I tell my parents, and they're like, "What? Are you fucking serious?" And they wanted me, so my mom contacted the feds in Jersey, because that's where he got arrested, and they wanted me to come testify against this guy. And I was like, no. Because I had this, like I always thought, like, when I get older, I'm gonna kill this guy.
Yeah, of course.
I'll find him and I'll just kill him myself.
Of course.
And that's how I'll deal with it.
Right.
So I figured, if I see this guy, I'm going to attack him.
Of course.
I'm going to fucking run across the room. I can't look at this guy in his eyes again. So I said, no, I'm not going to do it. My parents begged me, "Oh, we can sue the camp and all this." I don't want to fucking do that. I don't want to do it. I can't go through with it. So the judge asked us to write a letter to him, to the judge, and explaining what happened, and they would use it as evidence against him. The fucker got 8 years only.
You only got 8.
Mm-hmm. But whatever, man. God wanted me to get raped, I guess, and suck some dick. So that's what I did, man.
Sorry.
No. It's the only way to fucking make light of it, bro.
You kind of got a good sense of humor.
How else am I going to do it? To cry about it?
But that's what led to everything else you just told us.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't.
Do you think you would have went down that road if that never happened to you in camp?
I was doomed.
You were either way. You were.
Yeah, I
probably
think I was going to end up fucked up anyways.
Right.
Yeah,
so
that definitely helped though.
So why? I think we covered all of it. Unless there's another story in there you really need to tell.
But you want me to pull all the stories out?
No, you gave me.
No, that was a lot. Yeah.
Incredible shit.
Well, wait, I had one more thing I wanted to say.
Sure. Well, and I got a lot to say.
Okay.
There's lots more to say, but hopefully no more heartbreakers. How can you not admire Jared's honesty, his strength to push forward and not let his past hold him back? Bravo, Gordon. I mean, he could have been anything if not dead. A gym teacher, a clown who books kids' parties, even a priest. But he chose to metaphorically and literally kick ass as a UFC fighter. God bless Flash. We'll put some contact links in the description so you can reach out to our resilient guest. Now let's take care of our fine sponsors, Gregg.
Today's show is sponsored by Talkspace, the online therapy company that lets you message a licensed therapist from anywhere at any time. All you need is a computer with internet connection or the Talkspace mobile app. That means you can improve your mental health even if you've had trouble making time for it in the past. I see a therapist, but I also use the Talkspace app. It's wonderful. All of a sudden, something comes to mind that I want to talk about, and there I am on my phone talking to someone from Talkspace. Get something off your chest whenever you need to. Talk about everyday challenges at work or at home, or those damn kids. No, I love my kids. They're wonderful. Just chat about life, no leaving the office, and no judgments. Remember that therapy isn't just about venting your innermost thoughts or digging into childhood memories. It's also about practical, everyday strategies for stress management and living a happier life. Having a therapist simply provides you a designated person for you to talk to who is trained to listen and help you make positive changes. The Talkspace platform has over 2,000 licensed therapists who are experienced in addressing life challenges we all face. To match with a perfect therapist for a fraction of the price of traditional therapy, go to Talkspace.com/Opie, O-P-I-E, and use the code Opie to get $45 off your first month and show your support for this very show. I would appreciate that. I love the people at Talkspace. Talkspace.com/Opie. Guys, looking to last longer and go a few extra rounds? Want to be confident every time? Well, get BlueChew.com. That's right. Blue Chew has the first ever chewable that brings your performance in the bedroom to another level. Check this out. They've got the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so they work. Since they're chewable, they'll work faster than a pill, up to twice as fast. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach. And this stuff is cheaper than those other two, so this is a no-brainer. And let me let you in on a little secret. I just took a Blue Chew. No. Plus, you don't need to go to the doctor's office or spend time waiting in the pharmacy line because Blue Chew ships straight to your door in discreet packaging. Here's a great deal for you guys. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first order free when you use promo code Opie. That's right, I just said free. Just pay $5 shipping. Again, that's BlueChew.com, promo code Opie. I think I have to spell blue. B-L-U-E. B-L-U-E. BlueChew.com, promo code Opie.
Back to Gregg with his special guest, Jared Flash Gordon, on OpieRadio.
So, like I said, I look at you. You're going to be fighting in the UFC in December. Is that your first fight for the UFC?
This is my fourth one.
I did not know that, and I apologize because now you're my favorite UFC fighter.
There we go, baby.
Without a fucking doubt. Anyway, I did not know that. I apologize.
No, that's all right.
But
no one knows me.
So I look at you. You're in really good shape. You have a good record. You do not have to tell these stories, and you could have kind of hid this past, more or less a lot of it. But you chose to come forward and talk about this, and I think that's what you wanted to get at.
Yeah. So I mean, when I was younger, before I had like really gone through like a lot of the stuff we talked about, my ex-girlfriend, who has played like a pivotal role in my life. She's a really smart girl. She's got all this insight, whatever. She went through a lot too. She would always ask me. She asked me one time. We had broke up, and she's like, "I just have a question for you." She's like, "Why do you fight? Like, what is your?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? Why do I fight?" She's like, "Why do you fight?" And I was like, "Because I'm good at kicking people's asses, and I like beating people up." Like, what do you mean? Why do I fight? Like,
yeah,
because I want to make a living at it. She's like, "No, like why?" And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, "What the fuck is this girl talking about?" I had no idea like what she meant because I was so blind to what she was saying. So, but now I know. Like, it's not about me anymore. Because it was all about me. Me, Jared. I want what I want when I want it. Fuck everyone else. It's not about me anymore. It's about helping other people.
Right.
And so, like...
How did you get to that point, though?
To the realization?
That you wanted to help other people and it's not about you anymore.
All right. I mean, so going back to her question, like, now I know why I'm here and why I fight. because I'm supposed to use my platform to help other people that suffered like me.
Right.
Sex victims and drug addicts.
Right.
I also want to help like troubled youth.
Right.
So I was definitely a fucked up kid.
Right.
So like I was supposed to go all through all of this to come out the other end to use it in a positive way.
Right.
So now like my goal is to use UFC as a platform to help other people. Unfortunately, I have to like it's hard for me to get I don't have like the capital or the resources to do this. So I'm like trying to figure out any way I can to help other people. Right now it's stuff like this.
Right.
Like if I can get my voice out there, maybe someone will hear me and they'll want to help me or whatever the situation is. I don't know what it is with like sports or people like, all right, so the regular person, like they don't want to hear about like the good guy. They want to hear about like the asshole for some reason, like especially in fighting, like they want the bad boy.
Right.
People want to be fans of the bad boy.
Right.
You know, I want to help people.
Right.
You know, and that's the goal. Like I want to become champion so I could have, if fucking LeBron James was on 42nd Street right now telling everybody, oh, yeah, listen to me, like don't do drugs and don't do this. You know, people would be all standing around and listening to him. So that's the goal, is to get the platform to actually help people. You know?
I think you could give some people hope.
Well, yeah.
Because you came back literally from death.
Yeah. Multiple times.
And you got, multiple times. And you got the skills.
Yeah, man.
Your story's amazing, brother. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. That's one of the craziest fucking shows ever.
Like people, like you said before.
And I would imagine you're leaving out so much other stuff because we just,
if I told you the things, you'd be like, wow, this guy is out of his mind.
Right. I've talked to a lot of MMA fighters over the years, and I know Joe Rogan and all that, and it seems like you guys have a common thread that there's a lot of you guys that had some rough childhoods, and that's what made you choose to
I
fight.
think a lot of athletes, for sure, not just fighters, definitely athletes in general.
Yeah. But
I think we're extremists,
right?
Like we want to go big or go home.
So what do you do to pass the time and stay away from the drugs and the alcohol?
I go to meetings a lot.
Right.
I'm a big AA guy.
Right. You do meditation.
I help other people. Yeah, I every morning I do like meditation. I pray every morning.
Right.
I was born to a Jew and a Catholic Sicilian.
Yeah, that's crazy, right there.
I went to Hebrew school as a kid, and we celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, I understand that.
So that's
what you do on Long Island. I had so many Jewish friends that had the Christmas tree.
I didn't have a bar mitzvah or communion, nothing, the confirmation, none of that.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the fuck is God? God who?
Right.
What the hell are you talking about? But now I get it. I never thought I'd say that. Like,
are you more organized religion or more spiritual? Because I
choose to call him Jesus.
Right.
But I'm not like a Bible thumper per se. But I don't know. I'm a born again Christian. I was baptized.
Okay.
So I lean towards that. It's just comfortable for me, and I like it, and it makes sense to me.
Right.
And like
I had a tough time with organized religion.
Yeah, I get it.
And in recent years, I got into spirituality instead.
Well,
so it's something I think you can live.
Yeah, exactly.
Every day is spirituality, and it seems like to me, I'm just speaking for myself. Organized religion was more like, you're kind of learning stuff, but are you really living it? And then some of the stories were like crazy for me.
Yeah, I mean,
and now my definition of God is very different. I feel like God is literally everywhere, and it's not a guy on a cloud somewhere.
No.
And I see it in nature, I see it in people.
100%.
I see it.
I agree.
And then when you start thinking about the universe itself, your mind is just blown.
Yeah.
How many galaxies are out there? I don't know. Whatever. We're gonna get
That's
real heavy
topic,
if we continue. Yeah, exactly. But that's what helps you through these days.
Yeah, definitely. I speak to like my sponsor almost every day, and guys like Ryan.
Right.
We help each other out, and
I mean, are you jonesing? Are you jonesing for that old life ever, or is it sort of right there in the back of your head?
Sometimes I'm like, fuck the UFC. Let's go shoot some dope.
Really?
I mean, it's just like a fleeting thought. But but that's the thing, is that I'm so fucked up that I'll throw it all away if I have a bad day. But I mean,
but I said that earlier. I love your honesty about it, because most people would hide behind that. Like, man, I'm fucking good.
It's impossible, dude. Like,
yeah,
I was getting high for like 17 years. I've only been sober for 3.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
lived more than half my life a junkie or a
Right.
drug addict, whatever you want to call it.
And they talk about how you got to rewire your brain. I mean, and how do you do that? Just through trying to clean living and spirituality and
Yeah, that's what it's at. Is the spirituality. Like you need to be like spiritually fit,
right.
and you need to set certain principles in your life, so you don't like when you're having a bad day, you don't go down that road because like. It's easy for people like me and Ryan to just say fuck it,
Right.
You know, and like I think it's easy for a lot of people. They just do it in a different way.
Right.
I'm addicted to all sorts of things: sex,
Right.
fucking food.
Did the molestation fuck up your sex life?
Nah,
Oh, good.
nah, I'm a fucking freak, man. No, not at all. At first, I was like, man, am I gay now? And I'm like, if I am, whatever, dude. Fuck, I'm gay now. Fuck. I don't give a fuck. I really don't care about what anyone thinks about me, dude. That's the greatest part about all this.
I figured that out about a half hour
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. We like.
What other hobbies do you do to like? Is it all about training and fighting, or
Dude,
or are you into
people
other?
ask me this a lot. So it takes up a lot of my time,
Right.
especially when I'm in camp.
Right.
6 days a week, 3 sessions a day. There's really not much time for much else besides
Right.
eating and recovering.
Right.
But like, yeah, I like to do stuff outdoors. I feel like I'm on a date right now. I like to read. No, I do read though.
Okay.
But like, dude, meetings, that's another thing that takes up a lot of my time. And helping other people.
Right.
That's the biggest thing for me.
You get off on that?
Yeah, it's like,
Where you can
that's
help
like one of
somebody
the
else?
main things that keeps me sober.
Do you talk to kids?
I'll talk to kids like when it comes around. I'm not like out there looking for kids.
No, I don't mean. I mean, but I mean, like, are you? This guy's the best. No, but I mean, is it is it a structured thing? Are you actually in programs helping other people, or is it more of a casual thing?
So, like I said, like I haven't figured out. Like I need to figure out how I want to help people through my own way, instead of so last night I spoke at an AA meeting.
Okay.
A couple of nights ago I spoke in Rehab.
Okay.
So like. That's called H&I. It's like hospitals and institutions. Like, so you go to hospitals or institutions, jails,
Okay.
speak to the people there about substance abuse, alcoholism.
Right.
I've spoken to kids before at schools.
Okay.
That's what I want to do is go to schools. I don't know if you know Chris. You know Chris Herron.
No.
He was the Celtics basketball player. He's got a great story. He had a documentary called Unguarded. It was 30 for 30 on ESPN.
I'll go watch it.
Check him out, bro.
I'll definitely
He's
check
a
it out.
fucking man too.
Okay.
His story was retarded also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Similar to yours in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it was different, but it was definitely similar.
I'm gonna.
It was pretty cool.
I love those 30
he's
for
legit.
30s. I don't know why I never saw that one, Mike.
Hands down, the best one they ever made. Hands down.
Why the fuck did I never see it? All right, I'm gonna watch it tonight, man.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
So like that's like he does a lot of that. He's traveling all over the country, going to schools, talking to kids about addiction. His story, sharing his story, and we saw him. Me and Ryan went to see him right here in, where was it, Westchester or something? Yeah. Some college over there.
Seems like you and Ryan really lean on each other, man.
Yeah, man. We do, bro.
That's good.
Yeah. We've seen each other in some pretty shitty places, man.
When he relapsed, were you pissed off?
Dude, I walk into his house. His fucking door, he lives in an apartment down my cold block stream. It's like drug infested. And I go upstairs to his apartment. His door is wide open. There's fucking needles and shit everywhere. His dog is missing. He's got a big husky. He's like he got on the roof somehow. And he's like, oh, what time? I wake him up. I thought he was dead. He's got like needles all over the place, bags of heroin. And I was like, man, you're a fucking loser. What are you doing? Tell him what I said to you.
Yeah, get right on mic there, Ryan.
He came in. He was like, bro, you're pathetic. What the fuck are you doing? And that's like pretty much the one. I remember seeing him like a couple times coming into my apartment. He was like, dude, you're such a loser. Like, and you know what? Like, honestly, I mean, I was at a place in my life where, I'd been in recovery and I'd been sober for a long time. And I needed somebody like that's the type of, when somebody says stuff like that to me, or like they have to come at me a certain way that's going to get me moving in the right direction. And, Jared was showing up to my apartment every day. Like he knew that I was relapsed, and he was showing up every day. And
he was close to death, man.
Yeah, he was
right there.
And that was after 6 years.
Yeah.
And what was the thing that pushed you back into that? I know it doesn't take a lot. I've been around long enough to understand that. But what in your case, what was it? Girls?
No. I'm joking.
Oh, okay.
It was part of it.
There was a lot of things that
Oh
happened.
yeah, well, there was. Yeah.
I trained martial arts with him too, and I'd gotten injured, and I wasn't going to meetings. I wasn't doing like the things that I needed to be doing.
Right.
So I was really kind of straying away from the program, and just a lot of shitty things happen at once. And when you're in like a lot of physical pain, and it just becomes easier. Like if the doctor offers you, some.
Well, he fucking hurt his knee bad. He was getting shots in his knee. Then he got a staph infection in his knee joint. And he was in the hospital for like 4 weeks, and they were just giving him morphine. Dude, if I was in the hospital for 4 weeks, I'm a fucking heroin junkie. If they were giving me morphine for 4 weeks, I'm going to come out and I'm going to fucking shoot heroin. So that's what happened to him, really.
And I mean, you bring up something else. I know we're trying to wrap this up, but you bring up something else, man. You see it over and over again. You got a high school kid, blows out a knee playing football. Next thing you know, the doctors are, I have to say it, a bit on the lazy side. Next thing they're prescribing these painkillers, not knowing if the kid could even handle it. And then there's no real program to go into to figure out what you do after you're off the painkillers. And next thing you know, these doctors are getting kids addicted left and right for stupid sports injuries.
Yep.
Yeah,
right? I mean, is that crazy to say or not?
No,
or
not at all. It's exactly how it happens.
And I almost feel like it's a bit lazy on the doctor's part. Obviously, painkillers certainly help a lot of people out there, and they don't become addicted after they take them. But I don't know. I wonder if the doctors in general know the seriousness of what they're
I
prescribing.
think now they
sometimes.
do. Because
You think?
it's a fucking epidemic now.
I hope
People
so.
are dying everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's like disgusting.
Yeah.
But
And you're doing all right now, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
These
man.
motherfuckers are in way better shape than me. They're like,
this kid's fucking jacked. Look at him.
I know.
This is a junkie.
This is a junkie. Look at him.
So like the last time I saw him though, like
Yeah.
just to touch on one more thing, like
Sure.
I was like, let me just check on him. I was about to move to Milwaukee because I moved to Milwaukee 3 months ago to train, and I was about to leave, and I'm like, let me just make sure this kid's not dead. So I run up to his apartment, and he buzzes me in. I go up there, and he's fucking banging away coke and heroin, and I'm like, I was like in a casino, dude. The lights were like,
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, dude. And I'm like, listen, you better go. Like he had like an appointment for the detox the next morning, which he went to, and he got cleaned up. But I remember going home that night, and like I fucking pulled the sheets up to like my eyes, and I was just like, holy shit. Because like that was like the closest that I might have like been to.
Oh, so seeing him doing all
Dude,
that.
I'm watching, like, it doesn't get any closer than that. Watching someone shoot heroin and the drugs are right in front of me, cocaine and needles and spoons. Like,
I hear you actually get addicted to the feeling of the
shooting,
needle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's the best feeling.
But that scared the fuck out of you because you were that close to maybe
like,
joining them.
There's fleeting thoughts.
Yeah.
I could just one more time.
Dude, Milwaukee's rough, man. You're up in Milwaukee?
It's terrible.
You like it?
No, it's good. I'm in like the suburbs.
Okay.
And it's really nice. It's all
right.
People and like it's very nice.
You
and
just gave me a visual. I'll just leave that one.
It's very
alone.
nice and suburban, and I live across the street from the gym, so it's perfect for what I do, man.
What are you doing in New York?
I came home because I'm fighting December 15th. I was training like an animal over there. I would have burnt out if I just stayed there and kept training till my fight. And my birthday was 2 days ago, so I figured let me go home for 3 weeks, and I'll come back. My teammate Anthony Pettis is fighting. He's the co-main event of the Conor McGregor card.
Right.
He's fighting Khabib Conor.
Yes.
So I figured I'll come back. I'll help Anthony. His brother Sergio's fighting also on the card, and then so I'm gonna go back, help them, then I'll start my camp.
Being in this neighborhood again.
No, I'm fine, dude.
I'm asking, you know.
No, I got like.
Now I
have so much support here that it's like
you're good.
It's great. Yeah.
All right, two last things. So, where are your parents at these days?
Story of Queens.
And they're doing good?
Yeah, they're great, man. My dad's business is fucking killing it.
Right.
He's doing great.
Isn't Astoria very Asian these days?
Asian?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Greek still?
It's very mixed.
I started in Astoria, and then we moved out to Long Island.
Mixed area ever.
It used to be very Greek back in the day.
Greek, Italian. Now it's very.
Flushing is more the Asian.
That's like
now
it's all hipster.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's
hipsters
not like,
and Asians.
There's not many Asians in the story.
No, I mean Flushing.
Yeah, Flushing. No, I'm talking about a story is very hipster.
No.
Yeah, Flushing is still very Asian.
Because we used to take the long way to Long Island. We would go on 25A, and now you'll go miles without seeing one English sign, man. It's amazing what has
Flushing
happened to
is
that
like
area.
China.
Yeah.
It's
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
no, I don't got problems. I
Yeah,
I
we don't
love
have a
Chinese
problem with
food.
it.
I love Japanese
Asian
food.
girl looking at us.
I like Asian. I have a lot of Asian friends actually.
We love Asians. It's just weird what has happened to Flushing. One English sign. That's all I'm asking for.
Very Asian there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. So your parents are doing okay?
Parents are great.
Awesome.
My older brother
That was
sober
my
for
next
a while.
question.
He's great. My younger brother is actually the youngest custom guitar builder in New York City.
Yeah.
He sells them to everyone. Keith Urban. He sells them to all these famous guys.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, he's not a drug addict.
Right.
He saw what me and my brother did, and he was like, "Fuck that."
And your older brother's doing, how long has he been sober?
7 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, long time. He was a one and done.
That was it for him.
Yeah, he was like, I'm sick of this.
Jared
That was
Flash
it.
Gordon, man. This was, wow. This was
So
this
the
was
whole point
amazing.
is now I'm trying to help people.
Yeah.
If anyone's fucking listening
Right.
and they want to help me help people, help me help people, please. That's what I want to do.
I think you got to write a book.
I don't know how to write a book, man.
Dude.
You gotta help me out.
You know how they do it
No, I
these
gotta get a
days?
ghostwriter. I know.
Yeah, not even,
I've looked into it.
Not even a ghostwriter. They put a tape recorder down,
Just talk.
and then you just talk, and then they take it and make it into a book, and
It'll
you
take forever,
and you look like a fucking genius.
Well, I am a genius, but
Okay.
so you're right there. But
No, you need to write a book because I mean, who wouldn't read this?
yeah, you're right.
Who
I
the
don't know.
fuck wouldn't read this book?
You know what I was thinking though? Like I'm only 30. I just turned 30. What about the? I guess I could die tomorrow, so I should write a book now. But
was there a time where you're like, "There's no fucking way I'm making it to 30"?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. All right. Let's get some plugs. How do people follow you?
On Instagram, Jared Flash Gordon.
I'm going to follow you immediately.
Twitter, J Flash Gordon MMA.
Okay.
I think. Yeah, that's it.
You sure that's it?
Yeah.
And Dana's been cool to you?
Yeah.
Wait, Mike's encouraging you. Don't fucking get
No,
him in
no,
trouble.
no.
I know Dana White.
So
I know
it's
Dana
a
White
business,
well.
man. It's a business, man.
I understand that.
And like he, you know, like you gotta, like that's what I'm trying to do, man. Is fucking get in the spotlight so I can fucking help people,
Right.
And get UFC behind me so I can help people,
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? Like,
So obviously,
that's what I want to do.
So obviously, you need to train your fucking
I need
balls
a
off,
win,
and you need a
but
win in
like-
December, and then another win after that, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're doing more of
Yeah.
these type of shows. Have you done Joe Rogan's yet?
No.
You're made for Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan doesn't fucking know me, bro.
Don't matter.
I'm saying though, I'm trying to get the recognition here, and like no one gives a fuck about.
We
the good
run in
guy.
the same circles, and people are listening
right.
to this podcast. Joe
Well,
Rogan,
tell fucking Joe.
You'll be on Joe Rogan's podcast.
I got a lot to say to him, dude.
In a good way?
Yeah. I swear. I'm serious. I'm trying to tell the world, man.
We go
to
way
listen to
back.
me.
He credits me and my old radio partner Anthony for him doing what he does now.
Dude,
he saw how much fun we were doing.
It's like a dream to get on his show, so I could like. It's the biggest podcast, right, in the country. Something, one of the biggest podcasts.
Yeah. He kills
like, let me get on there, so I can. So fucking all these.
Yo, bro, I do all
guys.
right. I do all right.
I'm not saying you don't.
I got numbers.
But that's the
I got
that's
numbers.
the point, though. You know, I want to help people, man. That's my goal.
I'll be honest with you. I want to go on Joe Rogan to help my podcast. I
you,
never
man.
thought I would say that, but yeah, he's just crushing it. And
Yeah,
you
he's
will
doing
be
well.
on Joe Rogan because people listening to this podcast are going to now start tweeting Joe like fucking crazy and going,
Seriously.
"We got a guy for you," and then
on.
you could credit me for fucking getting you on Joe Rogan.
go,
How
man.
about that? Is that good enough?
I got all these other jerk offs in MMA.
Right.
They got. Dude, I'm a good fighter and I fucking have an awesome story and I want to help people.
Yeah.
These other guys, the fans, MMA fans suck, dude.
Right. Play hard to get. Joe Rogan's going to want you, and just play hard to get a little bit. Like, Joe, I don't know,
What am I, a
man.
hot girl? Got big
Go,
tits
Joe.
and
You
ass.
know what? I don't know,
Joe,
man. You know, I'll think.
He'd probably
about
say,
it.
all right, no problem. That'll be the last time I heard from him.
Next time I'm in LA, maybe I'll look you up. Just do that for me.
All right.
For me.
No problem.
All right, man. Fuck, for real. Jared Flash Gordon. Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
And the fight is December 15th, right?
Milwaukee.
And who you fighting?
I don't know how to pronounce his first name. I think it's Jao Kim or Yao Kim
Okay.
Silva.
Okay.
He's a tough guy,
Right.
but
You got
I'm
him.
gonna go do what I do, and that's it. I will win.
I hope we continue to hear about you, man.
Oh, you're gonna.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, and I really appreciate you coming in and doing
Thanks
this.
for having me. Seriously.
And Ryan, fucking keep it together, you motherfucker.
He's gonna be fine.
What do you do for a living? I mean, you're obviously friends with Jared, but
He works at Chippendales.
Yeah.
So Jack is.
Yeah, bro. Man thong. That's all I do. Just thrusting away on the
I don't
stage.
know- I don't
That's where
know-
I met him. Really.
I don't even know what to believe anymore.
Yeah. Right.
I don't even know.
I'm a salesman for
Yeah.
a food company. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You look familiar.
Do I?
Yeah. Where are you
Maybe I
from?
sold you food.
Long Island.
No, I'm from Westchester, Putnam County.
Okay.
Sells sausage and peppers.
Sausage.
Oh, sausage.
Best in the business.
All right, man.
right.
That's it, Joey.
Thank you.
Take it away. I need to take a fucking shower.
I'm sweating.
Yeah. Wait. We Mike, we do have one other story
One more.
where he fought those guys, and then Dana White started paying attention to him again.
Well, want to tell the story? The clip went crazy viral. It was on every station, every newspaper.
I mean, there's so much with you that I'm like, I think we covered it all, but it's one of the most important stories. You want to walk me through that real fast?
Yeah. So this was December 22nd. I have this thing with like the holiday season. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But so I'm at my barbershop. My friend owns the barbershop. It's 4 blocks from my house. And I'm sitting there. There's like an hour wait. My friend walks in, longtime friend of mine. I've been training jiu-jitsu.
What year
with
is
him.
this, by the way?
This was last December.
Oh, okay. So it's only not even a year ago.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Yeah.
my friend walks in, hour wait. I'm like, hey, what's up? Let's go across the street to eat, and then we'll come back. He'll hold our spot for us, whatever. So we go eat. We're walking back across the street, and he goes, oh, that kid right there that's walking towards us, I used to teach him jiu-jitsu. Okay, I've never seen the kid in my life. So they start talking. We're walking, drinking a cup of coffee. We get to the back. We get back to the front of the barbershop where that's now where the camera has us on, right on camera.
Surveillance, right?
Surveillance. And I'm just standing there drinking coffee. I've never met this kid in my life. My friend, who is like 40 years old, is talking to this kid who's like 23. He was his jiu-jitsu coach. They're just talking about whatever. I don't even remember what they were talking about. And out of nowhere, these 2 guys just come. They spit in the kid's face. He walks around the kid and throws a punch at him. And I'm thinking, because I didn't see them until they were right up on us.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like this is like they're playing around or something. Like this must be a joke. All happened so fast.
Right.
So my friend's like, hey, what are you doing? And he gets in the way, and the kid like hits my friend's hand like out of the way, and like postures like he wants to fight. So now that's when I react. I drop the cup of coffee, and I go and fight. So I don't like to punch on the street people in the face because I break my hand every time I punch someone in the face in the street. So I grabbed him. I start kneeing him in the face. I did hit him with a couple uppercuts, but my friend starts fighting the other kid, and they bump into us, and I hit the window pane of the barbershop. My shoulder hit like the middle of the window, and it felt like I hit like a baseball bat, like right in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And the window just boom,
Just
shattered, and the whole thing came down on me.
Right.
And cut my hand wide open. And we wound up getting off camera. I take the kid down. I beat him up. Unfortunately, that wasn't on camera. I was pounding his face in. They ripped me off of him. My friend comes out of the barbershop, rips me off him. And then that's when I realized my hand is wide open. And I got really unlucky because I got 21 stitches. I get the stitches out. I start training again. 3 days after I get the stitches, I sign a contract for my third fight in UFC. And, I had like 6 or 7 weeks of time. So I was like, all right, my hand will heal in 2 weeks. I'll train. I'll be fine. 10 days later, I get stitches out. I start training again. My middle finger comes open, like way worse than it was originally. It hurt so bad. I was training. It just popped open. I get stitched up by a plastic surgeon. A week later, I'm walking Grand Central Station. It's pouring out. I slip down the escalator in Grand Central Station.
Yeah.
Slam my hand on the floor. I look at it. It's bleeding a little bit. I clean it up. Next morning I wake up and my finger is like the size of a sausage. Completely infected. I go back to the plastic surgeon. He opens it up, drains it, cleans it out, and now stuffs it with gauze. So now I have a huge open wound in my hand. That was January 15th. A month later, I fight. My hand was wide open for the whole training camp. I didn't spar. I didn't do jiu-jitsu. I couldn't wrestle. I just shadow boxed and ran. But I truly believe 9 or 10 times I beat that guy.
Right.
I did go into that fight and get kicked in my dick twice in the first minute, and I wound up losing. But all that happened, and I think this all happened because I needed to make the jump to Milwaukee.
Right.
If this didn't happen, I won my next fight and I fought and won. Why would I leave?
Right.
Why fix something if it's not broken? But I truly believe that this hand injury and then losing the fight has got me to the next level of training, which is where I need to be. And so those kids, I beat those kids up. The cops came because people were calling the cops, and we told them what happened. We showed the footage, and they were like, "Look, we can press charges, and it's clearly self-defense, but we can't make that decision. The judge has to make the decision that it's a self-defense thing. So if you press charges and we go arrest these kids, they're probably going to turn around and say, hey, they started with us, and we have to arrest you also. So do you want to go sit in jail right now and have to go through a court process?" So I said, fuck it. And the kids, of course, the most experienced guy that fought in that street fight, got injured the most probably, even though I beat that kid up pretty good. But now look at my hand. I have like 50% of this finger. Like I can't bend the tip of it. And I could get surgery if I wanted to, but I'm not gonna because it's just not worth it. And I don't have a problem now. I don't have like any grip problem or anything like that. And when I punch, it feels fine. So
yeah.
But it was very unlucky, unfortunate. But I was defending my friend and this kid who didn't even help us fight the guys.
And the video went viral, and then it got the attention of Dana White?
So I don't know if Dana, I'm sure he got caught wind of it, but I didn't hear that he did.
Okay.
So what happened was I fought, and I didn't tell anyone about my hand. I didn't fucking say, oh, the reason I lost was because I fucking hurt my hand. Like, I didn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
But then, like, I was sitting around waiting for a fight. I wasn't getting a fight, and I was kind of, like, out of, like, I wasn't relevant. So I was like, you know what? Let me tell Ariel Helwani, who's, like, the major MMA outlet, and I was like, I'll leak the video. I'll leak the news of what happened, and it went fucking viral. He had me on over the phone. He showed the video. He showed the pictures of my hand, and it went viral. Every, like, news outlet picked it up.
Right.
Yahoo Sports, New York Post, all the big news outlets, and it was like it made me a little relevant again.
There you go.
Yeah.
We almost forgot to tell that story, so now we could end.
All right.
Yeah, we got to get Jared out of here. Jared Flesh Gordon, once again, thank you. Fighting December 15th in the UFC. This was an amazing. I don't know how long we do. An hour and a half, probably. Hour and a half. 140. So, Joey, now you can take it away.
When this guy becomes champ, news outlets will be slicing and dicing this podcast to bits. Thank you, Jared, for being honest, courageous, and mostly for not kicking anybody's ass while over at the Westwood One Podcast Network, especially Mike, our producer, who I'm now going to refer to as Off Mike.
I felt bloated the whole morning.
Oh, did you, Mikey?
On episode 40, Gregg and Carl ranted about the nuisances on Twitter. Well, we wanted to let you know that it ain't all bad. Every so often, you get a good one. We know you're out there, following at OpieRadio, and we see your little beacon shining. Sure, it's buried in an infested sea of scumbags, but it's people like you who defend our podcast. You engage with us, share your likes and dislikes. You're civil. A cool mofo. You share us, you tweet and retweet. Like I said, we know who you are and we thank you. But if you don't hear your name this episode, hang in there. OpieRadio followbacks. So let's look out into our magic window and give a great big OpieRadio followback to the following. Now, I might get a few of these wrong. Excuse me if I do. At Mark Fusetti, at Chef Lou F. Word, at Red Kettlebells, at Belinsky, at Brian Clowder, at Cigar Reel, at Opie Quotes, at Stunt Brain, at Saber Chef, and at our friend EV Guitar Man. Follow them on Twitter because, like you, they get what we're doing here. Now, you already know to subscribe at Apple. I'm guessing you shopped at OpieRadio.com, and you've rated us 5 stars a few times, and with a few kinder and gentler comments thrown in there. So let's get out of Dodge, as a good friend of mine likes to say. Until next time, thanks for listening to OpieRadio. The Westwood One Podcast Network. Rock Talk with Mitch LaFon.
This week on Westwood One's Rock Talk with Mitch LaFon, we celebrate David Bowie with Todd Rundgren. Also, 50 years of the MC5 with Wayne Kramer. And back for a second go-round, it is KK Downing of Judas Priest. Check it out.
Rock Talk with Mitch LaFon. Download and subscribe at Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and the Westwood One Podcast app. Free from the Westwood One Podcast Network.